We're getting ready to start with watercoloring our leaves. This is the second half of our final contour drawing. And here's what you're going to need to get started. You're going to need a cup with some water. You're going to need the extra paintbrush that was in your paint packet, your watercolor paint palette. You want the leaves or fruit or whatever it is that you are painting. Most of us are using leaves. And then you want some extra paper towels close by. So before you begin, you're going to use your paintbrush. Open up that paint palette. You might want to look around the house to see if you have a smaller brush. If you have a smaller brush at home to use, this is a slightly smaller brush, then that would be good to use. But if not, you'll be okay with this nice big one. But add a little bit of water to each well so that watercolor it softens up. Okay, so as you start, you're going to go ahead and move that over, let that water just really start to absorb into the pigment, and then we're going to begin painting. You can see that most of my pencil lines are pretty light on here and pretty thin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and erase some of my lines on here to just lighten them up just a little bit, so that they don't show through the watercolor and that they're easy to erase. Okay, so I've got my eraser and I'll get going with that. Just give it a real light, not much, just a little bit. Just lighten it up. Rid of all those little erasers. You guys can see right here that it's a little bit lighter now. Okay, and I'm ready to add water. So I'm going to start with this leaf here, and I've got my example. Actually, I think it was this one. So it's got a lot of red in it and some greens. I'm going to start with that leaf, and you might even be able to use this brush, although it's a little hard to use. And the first thing you want to do when you do this is you're going to mix paint on your palette before you start to paint. So we're going to add water. And here is where it's really important, and you can watch that other video that I have posted, but it's really important to only stay in your pencil lines. Don't go, it's like you're going to pretend that there's paint on here. Okay, so you're only going to get what's inside the pencil lines wet. That's it. So it's hard to see on that video, but I'm adding water and even make some jagged edges. I'm only adding water to the actual leaf. So I've got some overlapping, so I'm only going to do the leaf. I'm not going to do the other overlapping leaf. You can even bring it down and just slightly do the stem. Not much. Add some more water to the inside. And now I'm ready to add paint to it. Okay, so as I'm looking at this pure green is kind of ugly. This is just too bright. This green has some blue in it, so I'll start by getting some nice green. Get a nice wad here. Okay, so maybe let's try and add a little bit of blue to it. So now it's starting to get a little bit more warm. Maybe add a little bit of brown to it. Even warmer, I like that better. Some more blue. Okay, so let's start over here on the edge. And because I already added water, it's a little thick, I'm going to add some more water. Get this where you guys can see it here. I'll put it over here where you can see it better. I need to add water to it. I can tell right here it's too thick, so I'm going to add some water. And I really want to get it to where it's light and moves. So I'm going to add some water. That was just pure water that I added, no paint. It's darker over here on the edge, which is nice. It'll be fine. Okay, so now this leaf has some browns and some reds on the edge. So I'm going to add some more water to my paint palette. And then over here I'll add some brown. And then maybe a little bit of red. Start to get some nice fall colors going here. And then I'll take that over here to this edge. See how it's spreading on its own? That's good. Allow the watercolor to act like watercolor. Let it spread on its own. I'm going to add some intense reds to some areas here. Just a little bit. Let it spread. Okay. I've got a little bit of color that I can add to the stem area. Just a little. Just dab it in there. Let it start to run on its own. I'm going to add some extra brown to this side. Okay, so this leaf is finished. Oh, if you get this where it comes off to the edge, you can just go in and clean it up. It'll be fine. So before we start to draw, I want to remind you guys that I had you take photos of your leaves. So it's easy to go back and reference them. Oops. It's easy to go back and reference them to draw them and to paint them. Okay? So I am going to paint, right now I'm going to paint this one. Okay, that one here, which I also have another picture of it here. I'm going to paint that right here. Okay? So you can also use the actual leaves if you still have them, or you can use your phone.